On this week's episode of the Peach Life Podcast, we are joined by Angus and Morgan. Come along as we talk to this couple about sustainable living and what schooling of the future could look like for teachers and students on the road. Join us each week as we talk to inspiring and creative individuals and learn just how big living tiny can really be. We hope you enjoy this episode of the Peach Life Podcast. Like and subscribe for new episodes each week. I would love to ask you guys, you're just kind of where your story started with, even from maybe even before, the getting the RV and renovating it and getting on the road, what maybe led to that,
So it actually just kind of like fell into my lap. The bus did mom had it. She had it for years, and then she just kind of left it in Oregon, and then she was gonna sell it, and she was on her way to go sell it, and she asked me if I was interested, and I was like, I'll go with you to go check it out. And then I saw it again. I didn't know what kind of shape it was in.
It was a mess.
It was in real bad shape. The vents had been broken for a couple winters, and just outside of Portland, so it was like tons of water damage. But I was like, yes, please. Like, it sounds like a fun project.
Yeah. As long as the outside is good. I mean, a lot of times I know it can be scary and intimidating when you see mold and rot and all kinds of that stuff. But if you do gut it all the way out, you can, you can definitely rebuild. But so that's good that you guys were able to get get a good deal and find it in a way to kind of build from there.
Yeah, I don't know if we would have ever sought out this, right? Like, it wasn't on our radar, but once we saw it, we've always been kind of interested in like flipping homes and renovating things. So I think we kind of saw this as like our first opportunity to, work on that. But when we got it, Angus gutted it fairly quickly, and then it kind of sat around for a few years.
Yeah, well, I was pretty busy with work too. I was like managing a farm at the time. And so I was just like in my free time, I was going and working on it and tearing things out. And, so
it kind of sat around as an unfinished project for a few years, and then
too busy with work.
And work for him was just starting to get not as fun and not as fulfilling
really
for him.
Insane.
So, and he always kind of had this like desire to go back to school, and I had a desire to leave Humboldt. So, one day we were just kind of like, whatever, like, let's just quit your job, go actually finally renovate the bus, and I was like, you can go to school on the road, it'll be fine. And so that's kind of how it happened.
So we just
kind of got fed up with the Humboldt life, and
just did it.
Yeah, and that's crazy with your guys' school. I thought that was really interesting. Part of your guys' story is that you're going to college, you are teaching school as well as homeschooling your daughter, and then having a daughter. I mean, we homeschool our daughter and aren't on the road full time. And I know how much of a thing that is. So the fact that all three of you guys are doing that, plus managing, I mean, goodness, the internet situation of life on the road and all of that, like hearing how you guys manage that is how.
It's actually been easier than I thought. And she actually is not like full-time homeschooled right now. We're kind of she's only 5. She turned 5 in October. So we're kind of doing more of we kind of teach her according to where we are. Like, she does junior ranger programs, that kind of stuff. Next year though, we're going to have to get hardcore on the homeschool stuff, because it will be like legally required of us to do that. So that will be intense, but it's been easier than I think we expected it to be with the internet and all that kind of stuff.
And for her, it's just like following her interests and what she's interested in, and we teach her about.
Kind of, I guess it's like an unschooling type of a situation we have right now with her, just seeing what she likes and doing that. And then with me, I just work 3 days a week, and so we're just always have to make sure that we have service wherever we are.
Days,
and we just use our hotspots.
And my schooling's pretty easy. I don't really need like a steady internet connection. I just need to be able to submit things and like download things when I need to, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, he doesn't have like live classes.
Yeah,
so.
it can be pretty.
Okay. So that's something I think with colleges right now, they're doing, a lot of them are doing them in ways that people can kind of do them on the road better, because they really can. A lot of time it's, you get the assignments, you have, X amount of times to do it and then submit it. So there's always a kind of a layover of time that you can, submit stuff and do that. So that might be, I was just interviewing the other day a couple that's a military couple that's what they're going to be doing too, is full-time school while they're on the road after they get out of the military. And it was like, basically that same situation is is making it able for them to do that. So it's it's cool to see
available right now because of COVID. It's a lot.
Yeah, and the a lot of the different it's like, I think the policies are changing in a way that's making it easier, to do, college from home and things like that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The COVID thing did kind of like help him out for school.
Yeah, there's a lot more classes.
Yeah,
it was pretty limited before.
My job too picked up a lot because I just teach. I teach on OutSchool, which is an awesome resource for people right now, homeschooler or not homeschooler. But my classes picked up a lot once COVID happened, because parents needed to do something with their kids at home. So
and that gives the families, probably a lot more families, the ability to get out on the road. And as life, I mean, it takes, I think, everything. It takes internet availability getting there. It takes online resources. It takes a lot of different things getting there, but I think a lot of resources are in place now that families can live life in kind of a mobile way a lot easier.
Yeah, I think it's become popular this year for sure. I mean, we saw a lot during the summer. It was like RVs everywhere. It's the new way to travel for sure.
Yeah, you can still be active and do things and be isolated.
Yeah,
somewhat.
Yeah,
at the same time. So
that's awesome. I noticed you guys had to live in it as well while still renovating it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had gotten the floors and walls in, but like our mattresses on the floor, and we didn't have a kitchen.
For that first drive across the country.
Yeah, and it was rough for a little bit. It was rough.
Yeah, no, I know for us when we were renovating ours, it was the same thing. It's like we had to live in, basically, it's like at one point it was like we were living in one that's gutted with like floor, walls, everything is just almost half gutted, and it makes it so much harder. That's the worst part, is it makes it so much harder to renovate. I don't think people understand how much harder it is to renovate something if you're living in it at the time, unless you try to do it. It's a nightmare sometimes.
That can be challenging for sure.
I feel like, so we're still not even finished doing it. And I feel like it's because we were living in it. So you kind of do get used to like living with things like slightly unfinished.
Yeah, it's like hard to do that.
Yeah.
To start a project, you need to like clear the whole area, and it's just.
And then like the kid and the dog, like, it's just, it's a lot.
Yeah, I still have at least 2 or 3 projects that I'm like, I know I haven't even done yet, that, because they're just fine the way they are, not where I want them to be, but fine. You're like, other priorities get in the way, and, eventually I'll get to them one day.
Yeah.
We're hoping to finish all those weird little things while we're sitting here in San Diego for the next couple of months, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, that stability gives it of having the rig, the rig in one place does make it at least a little bit easier to manage that, rather than, the ins and outs of when you're traveling, full time. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
After having it and designing it and, living in it, for a while, is there anything about it that you guys would have done differently or changed?
I definitely, and this is my fault. This is totally my fault, that our shower is the only original thing in here. I don't know why when we were gutting it, I just didn't want to take it out because it seemed like such a big undertaking to rebuild. And I don't know. I just was like really adamant on keeping it. It's kind of a fun color too. So I thought at first I was going to kind of play with that. It's like a 70s yellow. I thought I would kind of play with that, which I ended up not even doing that. So now it's just this weird yellow, horrible, tiny little shower. So I do wish we took that out and raise the roof is the other thing, and then we could have a nice big shower. But.
Yeah, see, that's the hard one. I mean, it's a huge debate for people, and it's like it's such a daunting task, you know, that it's like I can see. I mean, for myself, I probably wouldn't go down the road that route. Like, I think for myself, the fear of doing that myself, I'd be like, nope, I'm just gonna live with it the way it is. But, you know, and for some, depending on their level of fabrication skills, or if they hire that part of it out, you know, just depends. But yeah, I can see. I know for ours, it's for our trailer. If it does feel like that, it's like I would like more headroom.
This
but,
is our dog.
Cosmos.
Yep, Cosmos, the Great Dane.
Man, and then life, you know, we have a pit bull, but my goodness, life in a small rig with a Great Dane, that's something else.
Yeah, he's a big baby. He does sleep a lot though, and he has his own bed.
Yeah, that's a must. He couldn't really have a bed on the ground.
Yeah, we like built him like
really space for it.
Yeah,
so he's got his own little couch.
Yeah, that's nice. I mean, you really have to have their own place, especially for a big dog. I've noticed that with our dog, we're still trying to figure out exactly where the best, you know, place to be, you know, there, out of the way, not, you know, it's always in tiny living. It's always some little game of chess game of trying to, you know, figure out where the right pieces go.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And what about, you know, how has that transition to tiny living, how has that been for you guys?
So it wasn't too hard for us because we had been downsizing. Living in Humboldt, we went from living in like a 3-bedroom, and then we moved into like a smaller cabin, kind of like in a remote spot. So and that was pretty small. So we downsized then, and then when we decided to go for it and fix up the bus, we did it again, downsize.
We had a lot of our stuff in storage during those cabins. We stayed in 2 cabins that were very small in the woods. And then when we decided to do the bus, we just pretty much sold everything that was in our storage unit, aside from like some antiques and, you know, special items. And then we recently just sold even more. We were storing stuff at his dad's house, and when we got back there, we realized we didn't even need a lot of that stuff that we thought was important at the time. And so
yeah, that's the common theme I kind of hear, and that, you know, I've seen with our own life, is just it's almost a gradual transition downward of stuff. And when you start going down it, you start realizing less and less stuff feels better. I mean, I know it doesn't make sense to people. It's like, it's hard to describe, but like when you get less and less stuff, it feels nice.
Yeah,
it's freeing almost. The hardest part is getting rid of it, but once it's gone, it's definitely freeing.
Yeah.
And trying to acquire more stuff to replace all the crap that you get rid of that's another challenge.
Yeah, I mean toys with our daughter, like that is hard because she loves toys, and people buy her toys for every occasion, and those can kind of take over. So I do secretly get rid of them sometimes. I don't want her to hear me. So that I feel like is the hardest thing to manage, is her stuff, really. Like, we've gotten rid of a lot of our stuff, and it's her stuff that I think is the hardest part.
Yeah,
I feel like it's probably mainly Lula's toys.
Yeah, mainly most of her storage is like her stuff.
Yeah, toys and shoes drive me insane. I think shoes are the other thing that is always trying to figure out, you know, the best thing to do with those to get them out of the way and stuff.
Yeah. Our shoes are constantly just piled up by the front door, like in the stairwell. It's just always full of shoes.
Yeah, always seeing, like, I love seeing when people have, like, and especially like people have YouTube channels and stuff, people that have really good, you know, like custom tips or like a custom idea that works so great, like that, you know, where it's easy for other people to kind of like follow along and you know, have like good ideas like that.
Yeah. We need to do something better for our shoes for sure.
Yeah. We'll have a spot for them once I finish this.
Yeah. Put that on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah, with you guys when you're traveling, did you guys do a lot of boondocking or um campsites? What was your kind of method of travel?
So we did a mix. If we found like a good boondocking spot, we would stay for a couple days. But we don't have a solar system yet. It's in the works, so we couldn't stay off grid too long. We could
Okay.
stay a couple days.
And like because of our refrigerator.
Uh-huh.
Which sometimes we would stay off maybe too long, and then
Yeah,
a
we'd have
couple
to
of
just have
times we
to
had to get rid of our
replace
food.
everything.
But because it is fun boondocking and we do like doing it, but I would say 2 days is probably our limit just without the solar system.
Yeah, once we do that, we'll probably mainly be doing boondocking.
Yeah, I would like to mainly do. Not that RV parks are cool sometimes. You know, they have laundry facilities and
So that's cool.
um
Wi-Fi, nice.
my
Wi-Fi.
daughter, we always stay at ones with pools because my daughter loves to swim. So there are the perks to the campground stays, but I think boondocking,
especially with kids, that's one thing too that I notice is that, you know, boondocking is amazing, and there are a lot of times and places where you know there's still you know other kids for kids to play with, but you know that is definitely a plus of campgrounds is when you have kids. There's usually
yeah, it's a up and a down right now because it's the fun.
well, yeah, I can imagine this year. I mean, that's you know, I love asking people about their you know last year for them because it's like, I mean, normal life had to be hard, but life for people that were like, we're on the road, like that had to be, I mean, even a bigger stress, even more of a question mark, everything, every place they go, you know, what do we do?
Yeah, what can be heartbreaking sometimes if she sees like a group of kids playing and
siblings.
Like, I want to go play
like two siblings. She's like, why don't I have a brother or sister to play with? You know, like sorry. And then you know, I want her to just go run free and go play on the playground. And I mean, we do sometimes, but I always have that little bit of like, is this okay? Should I let her go play? Should I not? But we've been really safe with all of it. The biggest downside I think is just things that are closed and we're not able to go enjoy them. But that hasn't happened too often, right?
Like, no, I mean there's New England. We didn't even go to New England.
We didn't go to New England because of it. But you know, we've just been doing a lot of the national parks and all those have been going. The junior ranger programs are going in a lot of them, but some of them it's just like an online program, so you don't get to actually get like a badge and sworn in by the ranger. But
that's part of the
but it's for the most part everything's been fine.
Yeah. Well, especially I mean, back to I think that's a really important topic that I noticed for our life was this year, you know, because our daughter, she's 7 and she's an only child as well. And this year has been, as a dad, it's been heartbreaking for me seeing that, you know, she had gone so long with so little contact with kids that I was like, this is not good. Like, I really started like noticing like this is not okay, and like whatever I have to do, like I need to figure out ways for them to start getting more of that interaction. So I mean, you know, that's been I think a big maybe echoing effect coming out of last year that, you know, I'm to keep an eye on.
I definitely feel the same. It's hard to tell her that she can't go play with a bunch of kids running around.
She's around adults all the time, and I know that's
not as fun for sure. Adults are boring.
And she's like so sick of us. Anytime we're around anyone new, she's like, leave me alone. Like, okay, let me go hang out with these different people.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. We had a couple times that we had family like that was able to actually come around the holidays, and it was finally nice to see you know her get to be around other people, and you know finally, you know, start to get you know, some other human, you know, interaction and things like that.
And she does out school classes, which is like a group setting, but it's not the same like on a screen seeing a kid, you know, it's not the same.
Yeah, it definitely is. They really, they need that interaction. So with you guys staying in, down in San Diego, you guys are staying there for a few months, getting kind of are you doing some work down there and then getting some more work done on the bus?
Hopefully. I just started a new semester and I'm taking a full load, so been pretty busy with schoolwork, but hopefully have some time to work on the bus, get things finished up, and then hit the road in the spring.
Yeah, we want to go up to we wanted to do this last year, but we got stuck in Colorado for a few months and then it got too cold for us to go there. But we want to go to Lake Washington and Glacier National Park and into Utah and stuff.
Yeah, Moab, Arches, Zion, all of that.
Yeah, and Olympic. We want to go to Olympic. So we have a lot of places we want to go to that we're supposed to go to last year, and
that you'll start getting to this year once the weather clears up, things like that.
I think we're gonna go like up in April or something, springtime.
Okay, yeah, that's nice. That's one thing that's I find fascinating, and one of my favorite parts is that freedom to kind of move back and forth to follow the weather. I mean, with you guys being down there, like with living in Palm Springs for so long, you get used to the snowbirds, the people that travel. Most of them are from Canada, but live down there. And you're like, oh yeah, that's the way to live. Like if you can travel, but I mean, that can be really expensive for a lot of people. But if you can live in your home, that's actually a very viable option that, I think is awesome.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice.
It is nice. Although we did experience some snow this year in Colorado, but that was good. It was good for just a little bit, but then it felt good to be able to leave.
Chance to go snowboarding and
he got to go snowboarding a couple of times, and then we left.
Yeah. How about with heating for you guys? What are you doing? Do you guys have wood or gas?
So actually, right now we just have like our AC has an attachment, so we just have to make sure that we're plugged in. And
it's like the Dometic like ceiling AC and heater.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it for now. I plan to like install some units into the propane system, some heaters, because there were a few in here when I tore everything out, but they were just in bad shape, so I ripped them all out.
Yeah. See, that's with the older ones, it just makes a lot of sense to just rip that old stuff out and just put in a new one. And do you guys run that just off batteries and then it's able to charge back up through the engine, or do you guys run a generator?
So right now I haven't got any of the components for the solar system yet, so we are actually just we need to be plugged in if we want to use like 120.
So like we weren't boondocking when it was snowing, we weren't able to because we would have froze to death.
So we had to find a campsite or something like that,
and we did have a generator and it recently went out on us.
So, But yeah, no, that's exactly this like where we're at too, is that if we didn't have shore power right now, we wouldn't be able to run it for very long till you got over to another one until we get our system in as well. So it's always kind of I feel like for me it's becoming more and more of a race to get that on there, because you really can't your freedom and limitation to travel is really limited when you don't have that. That is, it's becoming more and more aware and relevant how important it is to have a good solar system, and luckily they're getting better and better every day, so that's an awesome part of it.
We can't wait to get it
and be fully self-sustainable. That'll be a game changer for sure.
I was gonna say with the solar system, and I've had this conversation with some of the other people on the podcast, is it is one of the scarier things. Like a roof raise and the solar system are two of the scarier things that I can think of doing with any rig. And so it's, there's a lot of components. It needs to be done right. A lot of the stuff you get one shot of doing it right. So I can see, the just wanting to do it right and waiting, getting all the right gear and things like that.
The right gear for sure. It's such a big investment. You want to make sure you're getting this right stuff that's going to work best for you.
And a decent price. So
yeah, he has a hard time committing to like, I feel like buying, like, this is the one, we're just gonna buy it, take the leap.
Yeah, because I don't want to have to read you anything. I want to get the right components and all that.
Yeah, it's a big investment, that's for sure. I mean, it's one of the biggest investments you're gonna make. I mean, luckily that there's a lot of good resources out there now, a lot of different channels that are like will go super in depth of like every part of it, have like full, 5-part series about every step to do it along the way. So luckily there's, more and more resources for people to use to, you know, feel a little more comfortable. I mean, half the things that I've done, I wouldn't have done unless I watched a video of somebody else, right before. Yeah,
YouTube's a great resource.
Yeah. So. And he did all of this himself, like everything. And we've never done anything like this before. And I think YouTube, and you did read a lot of books too,
sure,
but I mean.
Yeah, so not much construction experience or anything like that for either of you guys before this. It was just learning on the fly.
Whole lot. I mean, I've built like greenhouses and garden beds, but nothing like I haven't built a house before.
Yeah, my dad is a contractor, so I feel like we would call him up every once in a while. And when we were putting our kitchen together, we lucked out because we were at my parents at the time, and their neighbor is a Finnish carpenter, so he was able to help guide him in. Because he built all the boxes and the fronts and everything for all the kitchen. And stuff, so my parents' neighbor was able to help like guide him in that, which was huge. Like I feel like you popped up the kitchen walls real fast because he was helping, or my parents' neighbor was helping him that day, and it like went up really quick. Where if he did that like by himself, it probably would have taken
a little bit longer for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a common theme I've heard from people is that when it comes to building anything tiny like this, like 2 people make so much difference in how fast, things are able to go up. I know with the studio that we're in here, I had to build it by myself because my wife had broke her arm, and I know we would have built it so much faster. Like I can't even imagine how much faster if she was able to help me the whole time over just, only me being able to do it.
Yeah, it does make a difference.
Yeah,
I love with the live edge wood all over the place. I love that you guys used it. We're able to get it, at a deal and able to use it throughout the whole thing. It looks so good.
Yeah.
I actually just traded some fruit trees for like
because we didn't need our fruit trees anymore since we were like going to be living on a bus, so we had like 5 of them, and we gave our fruit trees to our friends, and they let us come mill all this wood, like so much wood.
Had a big like Alaskan mill, just basically like a chainsaw on a track.
That's one thing I love is when I see people that get good deals out there. Like I like pointing people to resources to, in ways to look like when you're going to build something, there are a lot of ways that you can save a ton of money, whether it's finding old repurposed stuff. I love Habitat for Humanities are like the coolest stores if you guys know of those. I mean, I like, have gotten so many things for like incredibly cheap deals. So, and whether it's Craigslist, Facebook, Marketplace, like I just like seeing when people just kind of if you just use a little bit of time and resource, you can find really good deals on stuff and find ways to save money here or there,
or just find some raw materials like a down tree or
not everyone has a mill though is the thing, but I mean we really scored. We also acquired like a lot of redwood that we use throughout the bus too. So I feel like a lot of the wood in here, besides like the walls and stuff, we got for free. Which was a huge.
Oh yeah, that's a huge plus. And I mean, anybody that's ever looked at live edge wood knows how stinking expensive it is. So if you had to buy all that all that wood,
we wouldn't have.
Exactly.
Definitely looked out. It's been like an experience getting it to where it is now.
It got really messed up because it was so wet when we cut it, and then we almost immediately moved down to Joshua tree in the desert, and the wood it's
all cupped,
like warped,
cupped. And the kind of wood of it's madrone, so it kind of grows, and it like kind of twists up out of the ground as the way it grows. So it's not really the greatest material to work with, but it's beautiful. So it's
it took him a long time to flatten it. He ended up being able to flatten it and make it work.
Kind of took a while to finally culture and settle back down.
Yeah, I had to run it through a planer. So there is a place in Charleston, Reforge. It's like
it's a workshop.
It's a workshop that's like a membership based. Like,
it's awesome.
Yeah.
I think they are is it not a franchise or a chain of some sort?
No. It's just
okay.
one.
Well, if you're ever in Charleston, go check it out. It's an amazing place.
That's a little nonprofit.
But they have like every tool you could ever think of, and he was a member, so he was able to take all of this warped wood in there and figure out how to flatten it. Like
run it through the planer.
So wait, are you saying it's like kind of like a co-op workshop type of thing?
Yeah, it's really neat.
That's super cool. Actually, that's awesome. Wow, I've never, I've heard of food co-ops and different kinds of things like that, but I've never heard of like a workshop or that kind of stuff. I've even heard of like art studio, not art studios, but maybe like workspace type of places that people like rent out, but never for a workshop.
Yeah, they have every tool, like 3D printers and
it was really neat.
Sewing machines and
CNC routers and laser printers and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it was a really cool place.
The person that hasn't franchised that yet needs to franchise that, because that's a good idea.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we were so lucky that we discovered that. One of my friends told us about it, and I mean, it changed.
Yeah, I was like,
his life.
My God, like, this is incredible.
Without it, like, I don't think we would have been able to use our countertops the way
it would have been a lot more work.
I don't know how you would have done the things you did without all those tools. So
that one found it. But,
that's true.
Yeah.
And that's got to be a difficult part for people that are building, whatever tiny is a lot of times having or keeping all the tools with you that you need, especially if you're having to do that stuff like on the road, like on the move, that you're not just in any one place, keeping enough tools to do all the construction projects.
Yeah, that was a great resource to have.
I mean, we still do have a ton of tools, but that place had tools you're never going to go out and buy because it's just not practical. But
yeah, having a planer to run it through is not not common.
It's great. And that was in Charleston. We lived in Charleston for about a year with my family, building this thing out. So that's where that was.
So did you guys drive it cross country then?
Yeah,
back over there to
drove pretty fast too compared to what we've been doing.
We took I would say we took 7 days or something, 10 days to get across the country. And this the first time when we only had walls and flooring.
Yeah. Oh man, I can imagine that was a rough trip.
It was okay. It wasn't too bad.
I definitely drove a lot because I just wanted to get there and finish the build.
Yeah, I also feel because we've lived in some unusual houses prior to this that we're a little more accustomed to living in not the most comfortable way. Right? Wouldn't you say? I don't know. I feel
for sure, prepped us for it.
Yeah.
I've seen some people driving cross country where it's just, it's nothing but metal in one seat, and you got one other person trying to sit on a camp chair not to fall over while you're driving.
He was driving this bus for a while in a lawn chair. It's horrible. My mom was so mad.
Yeah, she was.
Not anymore though. We don't have a lawn chair anymore.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Awesome.
Pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, you do what you got to do for sure to get the job done, and and when you complete a project, you're like, well, I guess it was all worth it in the end. We got here, we made it.
Yeah, for sure.
So with your engineering degree, what do you kind of plan on going in and doing with that?
So I have an idea of what I want to do. The way I want to get there, I'm not sure of yet, but ideally, I think I will want to be designing and building eco villages. So So I'm not sure. Like still trying to decide like what course I want to take, or like if I want to be a civil engineer or structural engineer, environmental engineer.
Okay. What would you say is the medium you're going for? I mean, I can, I think of like the Earthship. I mean, I think of like a lot of different types of things off the top of my head, the kind of eco ships, different like materials of, working with.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to build like energy, like passive houses or energy plus houses, like an Earthship, something that's fully self-sustainable that'd be great.
It like works with the environment.
Yeah, well, it's not a detriment to its surrounding. It's actually improving its surroundings, so it's more of a regenerative um, situation.
That's awesome. See, I think, with us, knowing that homesteading was kind of where we were leading up to, I love that idea, and just seeing like what is out there, what kind of ideas, and are the best ways that people can live in a sustainable way, on their own property. I mean, to me, there's nothing better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited to see what it'll do.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
What he learns,
Yeah, like here at the ranch we're staying at, I think I might build an Earthship here for my friend's son, and yeah,
that's awesome.
I want to do more stuff like that, like we drove through Taos when we were going through New Mexico and stopped at Earthship Biotecture, checked out all the Earthships there.
Yeah.
Awesome. They're beautiful.
Pretty inspiring.
Yeah, those are cool. Those are really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went to Biosphere 2. Just like check it out and get some good ideas.
Yeah. What are some of the states that are maybe like right now kind of the best for that are, the most welcoming, accommodating for those, people that are maybe interested in that lifestyle?
Yeah, because permitting can be an issue, I think, when you're building an Earthship or something like that. Or but I think New Mexico is getting pretty good just because people are building a lot of them in Taos. So I think it's a pretty good place to do it as far as like regulation goes. I know I was talking to a guy at the hot springs who did it, and he was wanting to build one outside of Phoenix, and he couldn't do it. The county wouldn't let him because they didn't know how to
Yeah, they don't know how to permit things. They don't know how to classify stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a difficult, issue that luckily, I mean, I think places are wising up to it more and more, and more states are kind of, allowing more and more. I mean, I know for us in California, it's like, it's just ridiculous. The idea of doing something like that here is.
Yeah, well, we have the Cal Earth Institute here. It's in Hesperia, where they're building like it's like super adobe buildings.
Like little domes. They're cool.
Yeah, we're gonna go check it out soon. But they've got to be permitting it somehow, or
yeah, they probably have some kind of special funding permits or grant. A lot of times you get grants, things like that for special projects, things like that before. But that's cool. So yeah, New Mexico. I know. I'm not sure about the entire state of Oregon, but I know that there's a few different places, and maybe it's just particular counties that have some really good communities and laws of allowing more kind of more alternative. A lot of times, whether it's container ship homes, tiny homes pulled up, eco-friendly houses, like kind of the whole run of alternative living. So it's cool to see that more and more communities like that are popping up, throughout the U.S.
It's the future, hopefully.
Yeah, that's the future I hope for sure. I mean, that's kind of, and maybe even hopefully with this, podcast, that's kind of my goal, is to like get that idea out there to more and more people and see like, what can people start to do when people start, I think the internet is helping people connect, rising up together, realizing that there's better possibilities. I think like it's like the 4-minute mile. It's like, people thought it was impossible. One person did it, and then I mean, it's possible for everybody. And so when you start seeing more and more people do something that you might think looks cool or looks interesting, it's it's amazing seeing other people do that. And so I'm really thankful that you guys were able to come on and talk about, some of the journey and possibilities. I mean, the idea that some people can teach while they're out on the road. That's awesome. I mean, going, to school, there's just some really cool, I love what you guys are doing and able to show up that it's possible for others to do.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, we hope to inspire some people to realize that they can do it. I feel like a lot of people think that they can't do something like this because it just seems too far out there, but if we did, I feel like anybody can, we figured it out.
Yeah.
Anybody could if they want to.
Yeah, that's exactly. I feel the same way, that I'm like, if I'm doing this, then anybody can, because I have nothing special that should make me able to do what I've done, other than just, hitting hammer to nail until something's done. So
yeah. That's all it takes.
Yeah, it really does. But thank you guys so much for joining me. For everybody out there, your Instagram.
It's funky_wanderers, because we are the Funkhausers and our RV is the Wander Lodge.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Peach Life Podcast. In next week's episode, we will be joined by my wife, Martina Peach, as we share our story about tiny living and our journey of building an art studio, which turned out to be so much more.